Cheon Yeo-Woon stares across the registration desk, eyes locked, jaw tight. His voice is flat lethal. They cannot find his badge number. The clerk smiles, almost apologetic. Number 7, the only badge missing. He shrugs. The young master will simply have to wait until it turns up. A scoff escapes him. This reeks of sabotage, one of the 6 clans, no doubt. They want him sidelined before the trials even begin. Yeo-Woon turns away, arms folding. Not worth it. Causing a scene on day 1 would only feed his enemies, and he has older grudges to settle first. He leans against the wall, head bowed. Every one of those bastards once wanted him dead. If they spotted him now, they would come for his head all over again. But here he stands. He survived. The demonic academy sprawls before him, thousands of cadets gathered below towering halls. He will rise. He will become the strongest. Footsteps shuffle robes, brush voices murmur in waves. The crowd packs the courtyard shoulder to shoulder. Yeo-Woon weaves through the throng, a single small figure in a sea of strangers. Standing near the front, impossible. Far too many bodies between him and the platform. 2 cadets nudge each other, grinning. That is number 7, the candidate from outside the 6 clans. Word is he does not know a single martial art. He will be the first one cut. Yeo-Woon catches every word. Of course, they whisper. He folds his arms over the red badge stitched to his chest. Laugh while you can. Across the courtyard, a red-haired figure watches him stand alone at the back. The remark drips with mockery. Look at him, isolated, ridiculous. The face turns bearded, sharp-eyed, the smirk of a predator. So this is how the illegitimate child plans to draw attention. How interesting. 3 horns lift skyward, lungs filling. The deep blast rolls across the academy grounds, a sound that silences every conversation at once. Voices rip through the crowd. The bugles, he is coming. Quiet down. His holiness approaches. Cadets crane their necks toward the great staircase. A boot lands. Step. Then another. 4 figures emerge from the inner hall robes, catching the light, walking in formation toward the throne above the courtyard. Cadets nearby gasp, eyes wide, sweat beading. Numbered badges flash on their chests, 38, 39. They had heard stories, but seeing the patriarch in the flesh is something else entirely. A long beard, silver-streaked hair, sun-browned skin, Cheon Yeo-Woon, the 23rd Cult Lord, the Southern Demon Lord himself. Step. Behind him, a masked figure in black and red, silver-haired and motionless. Beside him, a one-eyed swordsman in saffron robes, blade at his hip. The patriarch never walks alone. The procession reaches the throne. Yeo-Woon, the masked one, a red-bearded elder in furs, and the swordsman. Murmurs ripple through the cadets below. Mutter, mutter. The red-bearded elder shoulders past Yeo-Woon's father, a sharp grunt, a deliberate jolt. The cult lord stumbles a half-step. Even here in his own court, someone dares. The red-haired man clicks his tongue, leaning close. Tisk tisk, why is the patriarch dressed in such shabby rags, you drunkard? The mockery is open, deliberate. The patriarch ponytails scraggly beard sword, and gourd at his hip, hiccups swaying. Mad blade seopmang, left hand royal bodyguard. He spits the words back. What the hell are you staring at, redhead? A masked figure steps between them. Silver braid, red-painted mask eyes glowing crimson. The glare alone freezes both bodyguards mid-breath. One word, silence. Lord of Darkness Ragyom Ma. Head royal bodyguard. The braid trails down his back like a blade itself. Even the wind around him goes still. Robes flap. Hands settle on the armrests. The cult lord lowers himself onto the throne, slow, unhurried, the air itself bending around him. Boom! Petals scatter from the impact of pure presence. Patriarch Yeo-Woon Cheon, one of the 5 elite martial arts masters, the 23rd Cult Lord. The throne is his without question. Down in the courtyard, cadets stagger. Numbered badges flash 26, 28, 36. Sweat beads on every brow. The pressure crushes them where they stand. Yeo-Woon stands frozen at the back, staring up. The whispers ripple. His presence is overwhelming. No one can even meet his eyes. He is not the patriarch for nothing. A single thought lodges in Yeo-Woon's chest. So that is my father. Ma raises his arm. Shout. The single command tears across the courtyard, slicing through the chatter like a blade through paper. Silence. The crowd freezes. Quiet falls instantly. Up on the platform, 4 figures stand around the throne: the masked guard, the drunken swordsman, the red-haired man, and the seated patriarch. Ma turns, bowing low. "We are now ready, Your Holiness." The patriarch's hand rests on the armrest. Fingers relax the calm before something heavier. Step. Robes shift, gold and indigo catching the sun. The cult lord rises from the throne. The motion alone sends a tremor through the air. Whir. His eyes ignite, pale white threaded with violet smoke. Energy curls from his temples. The patriarch is no longer merely a man. Rumble. His voice rolls out low and even. "To all the talented young ones who will lead the cult's future, I welcome you to the academy." Purple chi spirals around him. Cadets flinch in waves. Sweat, wide eyes, murmurs of disbelief. Such a profound breathing technique. Even at distance, the chi alone makes their knees buckle. Yeo-Woon clenches his teeth. The voice carries at conversational volume, yet every word resonates clear and sharp at the back row, as if the patriarch were speaking directly into his ear. Rumble. The patriarch's words wash over the assembled thousands. "At this academy you will hone your skills and become the driving force behind our cult." The courtyard listens as one body. Hoon! Fists punch the air. Cadets roar in unison, chests heaving, voices breaking. The energy snaps from dread into frenzy in a single heartbeat. Eternal glory to His Holiness. The crowd bows as one wave, fists raised. "Thank you, Your Holiness." The patriarch and his 3 guardians stand above the staircase, untouchable. A close shot, the patriarch's profile, beard, sharp jaw, eyes catching the light. For the briefest moment his gaze drifts. Somewhere down there is a son he has never spoken to. A close shot finds Yeo-Woon in the throng, small frame top knot, the red number 7 sewn over his chest. His face is unreadable. The patriarch's gaze passed over him without stopping. Up on the platform, the patriarch turns. Robes sweep, the gold crown catches sunlight. Ma stands at his side as the cult lord moves toward the inner hall. Yeo-Woon's eyes glint, a flicker of red beneath dark lashes. Cold, empty. The man on the throne never even looked his way. A long sigh leaves him. Cadets nearby raise fists, cheering for His Holiness. Yeo-Woon thinks only one thing: this is the first time we have ever seen each other, and he is still this cold. But it does not matter. He never expected anything from the man. Not even when his mother died. Not once did the patriarch come to see her. Not once. A new figure steps to the front of the platform. Red-maned, fur-collared, bearded, the bearded guardian. His Holiness has finished. Now he says it is time to get down to business. The crowd does not catch the shift. Cadets laugh, elbow each other, swap whispers. Chatter, chatter. The threat has not yet landed. Up on the platform, teeth grind, clench. The bearded guardian's jaw locks, beard quivering. His patience snaps in a single heartbeat. Who said this was time for chit-chat? The shout cracks across the courtyard like a whip. Flinch. Cadets seize up, eyes wide, sweat breaking on every brow. Where? The bearded guardian's aura ignites, crimson sparks, embers swirling around his shoulders. The fur of his collar rises with the heat. He bares his teeth. He will make this simple, so they had better listen. The grin is wolfish. There will be no second warnings here. At the Academy of Demonic Arts, 4 years, 6 stages. Each stage ends with an examination and each cadet gets one attempt. One, nothing more. The mood breaks. Mutter, whisper, one chance. Cadets look at each other, mouths open. So fail once and you are out. No, that cannot be right. The bearded guardian smiles slow and cruel. Looks like they all get the gist. Fail an examination and you are removed from the academy grounds. Permanent. Lift. A hand shoots up from the cadet ranks, pale, steady, unafraid. A voice rises with it. He has a question. A young cadet, top-knot, blue-collared robe, calm, half-smile. He stands tall while everyone else cowers. Even with the bearded guardian's aura still raging, he keeps his hand raised. The bearded guardian's mouth twists. And who said he was taking any questions? Eyes narrow, fangs flash. The crimson aura curls tighter around him. Jolt. The cadet's eye flickers, a thin streak of blue lightning ripples beside him, electric and sharp. His pupil narrows. He does not lower his hand. Whir. Violet smoke licks the cadet's face, but the smile only widens. Excuse me? The word drops like a stone into still water. The entire courtyard hears it. Rumble. The bearded guardian explodes, flames roar around his frame, fur bristling, fists clenched. The moment a cadet sets foot in this academy, he hisses all air privileges to the patriarch, and the six sex mean nothing. So what does the boy plan to do about it? The bearded guardian's eye narrows, predatory. Does the boy really want to be disqualified from the tournament for minor priesthood before it has even begun? The threat lands like a hammer. Ha! A snicker escapes the cadet, hand over mouth, eyes shining with amusement. Yeo-Woon's gaze snaps sideways, jaw tightening. The kid is laughing in the bearded guardian's face. A pause. Then my apologies. The voice flattens, oddly contained. On the platform behind the bearded guardian stand 6 figures in elite robes, the heirs of the six sex, watching the exchange with cold interest. The bearded guardian raises both hands, recovering his composure. Besides, he already knows what they were going to ask. The smirk returns. He has played this scene 100 times. The cadets think one attempt per exam means the odds of finishing are slim. True enough. But for those who clear each stage, 3 special rewards await. 3 for every single stage. A wooden chest swings open. Crimson light pours out, a single glowing marble nested on velvet golden dragons coiled around it. The first reward, a demonic dragon marble. A demonic dragon marble. Yeo-Woon stiffens, number 7 flashing on his chest. Cadets around him whisper in awe. A miracle medicine, one hisses, that grants 20 years of internal training in a single dose. Pass all 6 stages, take all 6 marbles. That would be 120 years of cultivation. Masters in one go. But another cadet shakes his head. Not exactly. The more you absorb, the weaker each one becomes. And if it were truly that easy, the masters above would have devoured them long ago. Yeo-Woon's hand curls slowly at his side. 6 stages. He has not trained a single day of internal cultivation. But if he can pass each examination, those marbles could close the gap faster than any decade of practice. The bearded guardian spreads his arms wide. The second reward, access to the martial arts manuals. As cadets in training, they all know exactly what those manuals are worth. A pagoda rises in the distance, 5 floors, blue light glowing in every window. The manual library of the academy. Each stage cleared unlocks one more floor. Each floor, deeper secrets. Depending on performance, cadets may study the manuals of the six sex, even the arts of the royal bodyguards themselves. Whoa. Cadets clench their fists. This could be his chance to learn divine techniques. They could become martial arts masters too. The manuals. Yeo-Woon's breath catches. If he is going to survive what is coming, those manuals matter far more than any marble. Without an internal foundation, technique is everything. The bearded guardian flashes a wolfish grin, holding up one finger. However, he can guarantee none of these cadets will reach the 5th floor, not even in their wildest dreams. So they had better forget about that one entirely. However, the redhead's grin sharpened, fangs flashing. Not one of you, he promised, will ever set foot on the 5th floor, not even in dreams. Silence swallowed the courtyard. Behind him, 6 elders stood like statues. A cadet in the front row chugged from his gourd, glug glug, washing the dread down his throat. He belched, wiping his mouth. Hwamyoung, he muttered, the man has a gift for hyping a crowd, then gutting the mood. Everything that bastard does grates on the nerves. Hwamyoung, the fiery redhead left guardian of the cult, pressed on, undeterred. And as for your final reward, his voice rolled through the silence. You'll be granted ranks and stations beyond anything your bloodlines ever dared imagine. A red-clad woman stiffened. Behind her, the cadet's straightened eyes, lit breath caught. Even minor priesthood candidates, one boy realized, were leveled with the rest. So this was what they meant. Everything had changed at the gates. From here on, survival of the fittest. Hwamyoung listed the climb: lower warrior, middle warrior, high warrior, sentry warden. 5 ranks. As for the 6th, his eyes closed in mockery. None of you will ever reach it. Most of you, he sneered, will rot at 3rd rank. No matter how you bleed. For commoner houses, fine. But for the proud bloodlines, a stain on your name, careers buried at warrior grade. A cadet scoffed inwardly. 6 stages, really, reaching the last was a fairy tale. Across centuries of this academy, fewer than 10 souls had ever stood on the 6th floor. But rise through the ranks, Hwamyoung continued, and your standing here will be carved in stone. You all begin equal. As you climb, the hierarchy will sort you, and you will obey it. A thump pulsed in Cheon Yeo-Woon's chest. Before, survival had been the only goal. Now his eyes narrowed. Survival meant crushing every cadet beside him. That's the gist, Hwamyoung said, sword propped against his shoulder. The crowd stretched endless behind him. And now we begin stage 1 to assign your dorms and your groups. Yeo-Woon stood alone in the silent crowd, the red character 7 stitched on his robe. A beat passed, then another. No instructions, just the ellipsis of dread. What his pupils dilated, sweat traced his temple. The stage 1 examination already, no teaching, no preparation, nothing. The whole plaza erupted in murmurs. Mutter, mutter, did I hear right? No way. Thousands of black-clad figures swayed like a restless tide before the temple gates. How could they do this? 3 cadets huddled, sweat beading. Already, aren't they supposed to teach us first? What if I fail? Then a voice cracked across the courtyard. Quiet. As I said before, Hwamyoung roared, fail this exam, and you are expelled, cast out. Those who fail aren't worthy of even the lowest warrior title. Why is he so furious? One cadet whispered. The first stage tests your basic abilities. Hwamyoung bellowed, hair flying. To stand among us, you must at least channel your internal chi. Those who can't will end up farming or peddling, so brace yourselves. Yeo-Woon's breath caught. Internal chi. The one thing his mother's vow had locked away from him for 15 years. No way. The words slipped from his lips, barely a whisper. Then Hwamyoung's grin twisted cruel. Actually, we still need bodies for those lowly trades. His head swayed side to side, mocking, so feel free to slack off. The cruelty wasn't accidental, it was the point. Damn it, now Yeo-Woon understood. His fist clenched white-knuckled. This was why the wives of the 6 sex had sworn to keep him from ever cultivating his internal chi. The vow was a leash. Teeth bared, sweat sliding down his temple. Fail this exam, no rank, no status, dragged to the bottom of the hierarchy. And once he was there, they wouldn't whisper. They'd come for him in broad daylight. Across the crowd, one of the half-brothers smirked from the shadows. Heh. The grin curled, cruel freckled cheeks, lifting. Yeo-Woon stood small and isolated in the boy's peripheral vision. A round of applause, the air thought, for whoever designed this system. Now I won't even have to soil my hands. The little vermin will rot at the bottom on his own. Then, His eyes snapped wide, gold pupils sharp. Something at the base of the steps had shifted, something he hadn't expected. A new procession swept the courtyard, handmaidens in green, flanking a noblewoman in deep pink. The cadets parted in silence, a presence too refined for an academy proctor. She seated herself on the steps, Pippa cradled across her lap. Hair coiled tight, jeweled crown, gold collar. Every detail screamed station. The fifth elder of the cult, head of the sound sect, Hang Soyu. Hwamyoung stood beside her on the temple steps, the woman in pink poised at the foot. Two cadets faced them from below. The crowd held its breath. This, Hwamyoung announced, is who will proctor your first examination. Madam Hang Soyu, head of the sound sect, fifth elder of the heavenly demon cult. Her smile cut sideways sly. This should be a breeze for all of you. Hwamyoung barked, arms thrown wide. Fail here and you'll never amount to even a lower warrior. The crowd murmured, pressed close, sweat beading. The head of the sound sect here, one cadet's pupils trembled. She almost never appears in public, as elusive as His Holiness himself. Why now and wait? Is she really about to do what they think? Yeo-Woon glanced sideways. The cadets around him were already clamping palms over their ears. Headbands bobbing, faces taut. A bead of sweat slid down his cheek. Why are they covering their ears? Hwamyoung's smirk turned wicked. If Madam Hang struck with full musical force, brats like you would be corpses. Lucky for you, she's going easy. Damn it, Yeo-Woon hissed. We have to absorb pure musical chi. Her violet eyes opened. A whir trembled through the air. You should manage a minute, she purred, if you have even a shred of internal power. Hwamyoung leaned forward, hair flying. Endure her force without fainting, and you pass. Begin. Her hand whipped across the strings. Strum. The sound exploded outward, purple shockwaves rippling through the courtyard, glass bright and bone deep. The first row of cadets buckled. Bodies hung in the violet wave, heads thrown back, mouths, open eyes blank. One after another, the weaker cadets pitched sideways, robes streaming. Strum. The note hammered again. Whoosh. Yeo-Woon's pupils contracted, hair lashing his face, teeth bared. The sound speared through his skull. No chi, no shield, nothing to absorb the blow. Raw nerve against a master's resonance. Around him, cadets crumpled. Ah, my chest. Thud, thud, bodies hit stone. One crouched, gripping his ribs, another doubled over. I can still hear it through my hands, someone screamed. Just as expected, most of the middle row, the ones from minor sects, dropped. Hwamyoung's red mane swept the wreckage. But the heirs of the six sects, the high blood scions, they stood firm, spines straight. Strum. The freckled heir tilted his head, smile, lazy hair, barely stirring. Pretty strong stuff, he murmured, almost amused. The ones from real bloodlines weren't suffering, they were measuring. Strum. Madam Hang's hand blurred across the strings, fingers slicing through purple haze. Every pluck sent a violet wave rolling outward, glass bright and bone deep. As for us, heirs of the six sects, the freckled boy mused, eyes lowered, smile faint. We drank precious medicines from childhood, cleansed bodies, forged chi. That vermin's already on the floor by now. Swoosh! Her fingers ripped down the string, sparks flying. Two cadets stiffened. Something doesn't feel right. The redhead in pink frowned, her smile thinning. A gasp from the dais. Madam Hang is strumming faster and faster. Her hair whipped sideways, teeth flashing. Swoosh, swoosh, the air itself was tearing. She rose from her seat, robes streaming purple flame, Pippa cradled tight. The whole courtyard pulsed with violet shockwaves. Why, one cadet whispered through gritted teeth, why is she doing this? Ah! A boy in a red bandana clamped his ears, mouth wide. Beside him, another cadet, hunched hands locked over his head, whole body cramping. Why, he gasped. The chi veins on his arms bulged. Madam Hang's eyes flicked open, sharp, white hot. Why isn't he fainting? Her teeth bared. Across the courtyard, one figure still stood, Yeo-Woon Cheon. Yeo-Woon stood tall amid the wreckage, ponytail catching the windrobes intact. Bodies sprawled around his boots. His eyes were calm. The little vermin she'd written off was the only one still on his feet. "Wait, what?" His own pupils dilated, sweat beading. He glanced down at his palm, baffled. He hadn't channeled anything. He shouldn't even be conscious right now. Over half the drill hall had collapsed. Bodies littered the stone, heads down, hands over ears, robes torn. Yeo-Woon stood alone in the center, a single figure in a sea of fallen cadets. Have they all suffered internal injuries? He wondered, scanning the carnage. Then how am I just fine? No chi, no training, no defense. The math didn't add up. A voice unfurled in his skull, clinical, mechanical. The mandolin's sound waves had generated dangerous high and low frequencies. Detecting risk of severe bodily harm, emergency defense mode had engaged. "Nano," Yeo-Woon breathed. "You blocked the sound from reaching me." "Correct," the voice replied, calm, patient. "I temporarily shut down your auditory functions to defend against external trauma." "Then how am I hearing you right now?" he asked, baffled. "I am relaying information directly to your brain," the machine answered. Yeo-Woon exhaled. Sometimes I still don't understand him at all. Glare. From the dais, eyes ignited red. A cadet's glare burning across the courtyard, teeth bared in fury. Shiver. Yeo-Woon's white-haired half-brother locked onto him, pupils trembling with murderous focus. "Nano," Yeo-Woon murmured, "can you protect me from that gaze?" Flame surged in the killer's eyes across the steps. "Shall I block your visual senses?" the machine offered. "Never mind," Yeo-Woon muttered, shrinking. "Bad idea." Strum, strum. He could read Madame Hang's impatience through her playing fingers, tighter notes, sharper. Hwamyoung stood beside her, arms crossed, watching. The duet had become a hunt. The force pouring from her pipa. Hwamyoung noted inwardly, eyes narrowing, far stronger than when she began. Even a warrior who'd cultivated chi for 20 years would be torn apart by this. It must be him. Yeo-Woon stood, backlit silhouette cut sharp against the haze, eyes glowing pale. Strum. They told me he had no internal powers, a lie, clearly. He isn't even using a chi control technique to stay calm. Hwamyoung's mouth curled. "I haven't seen anything this interesting since I took this post," he murmured. Snowflakes drifted past his crimson mane. "I wonder how long the boy will last." "Strum!" A boy in a red bandana wailed, blood streaking from his ears. "Whoa, your ears are bleeding," a cadet shouted, panicked. "So are yours," the bandana boy snarled back. "Strum!" The pipa kept hammering. 20 years of chi cultivation, Hwamyoung noted grimly, isn't enough for this. Wretch. A noble air in white spat, blood, mouth twisting. Another grunted, sweat streaking. "Stay calm," the freckled scion hissed inwardly. "Protect the sect's reputation." "Why is Madame Hang playing so intensely?" The freckled air murmured, eyes narrowing through the violet haze. Judging by her face, she looks furious. The minute should have ended already. Something was off. His pupils contracted. Wait a minute. Sweat traced his temple, eyes flashing gold amber. The wind whipped his hair sideways. A realization was clawing its way up. He twisted his head, shock breaking across his face. Strum. The pipa's wave punched through him from behind. Something he hadn't accounted for had just shifted in the courtyard. "What's going on?" A headband-wearing cadet wondered, brow furrowed. Why does he look so startled? A red-haired girl beside him watched too. "Stray from your chi stance now," she warned, and the backflow could rip his meridians apart. "Is something happening behind us?" Strum. The freckled air whipped around, ponytail flying. Strum. Across the haze of the courtyard beyond the fallen bodies, the temple gates blurred. He scanned the wreckage. Someone was standing where no one should be standing. What's going on?" cadets stammered. Yeo-Woon stood untouched at the center, robes, clean ponytail, loose, breath even. How is a mutt with no internal chi this calm? A noble snarled. He doesn't look fazed in the slightest. It can't be. The freckled heir's grin twisted, sweat sliding down. Strum. His eye flared gold through the haze, pupil narrowed to a slit. He must have internal powers. There was no other explanation. The vermin had been hiding it all along. Yeo-Woon's gaze hardens. He calls on Nano silently. The front row elders and Madame Hang herself all seem to glare straight at him. Nano answers within his mind, analyzing facial muscle movements. A holographic target panel locks onto Madame Hang, while cyan rings sweep across the watching cadets. The scan magnifies her face, bulging eyes, twisted lips, sneering jaw. Nano reports the readings: absurdity, surprise, petulance, and undisguised anger. Yeo-Woon hears nothing through the sound barrier, but the hostility radiating from the platform is unmistakable. They are furious that he is still standing. A bitter realization settles on him. They expected him broken, the powerless mongrel with no internal energy. His survival is the insult. He stares ahead, jaw tight, and speaks to Nano again. If he passes this first examination unscathed, no one will believe his story of having no internal powers. A solution forms in his mind. Could Nano deliberately injure him from the inside? Could it manufacture the wound he needs to keep his secret intact? He clutches his chest, voice low. Yes, that is exactly what he means. Damage the organs, force the cover, decision made. Once Madame Hang's performance ends, Nano will rupture his insides and make him cough up blood. The machine acknowledges commencing forced internal damage. On the platform, Madame Hang's lips peel into a snarl. The minute is almost up and her last strum rips through the air like a blade. The young master stands alone amid fallen cadets, hair drifting in the violet shockwave. Madame Hang seethes. That lowly mutt is barely 15, and yet he still stands. Yeo-Woon's mouth twitches into the faintest smirk. He refuses to fall here. The defiance lights her fuse. How dare he insult her? Her teeth bare in fury. Her fingers tighten on the strings. Half capacity, then. No mongrel survives that. Purple energy coils around the pipa as she prepares the strike. The red-headed left guardian, Lee Hwam-young, snaps his head toward her, eyes sharp with alarm. This is dangerous. She has crossed a line. Another strum tears the air. A nearby cadet stiffens, blood seeping through clenched fingers. Even bystanders are being shredded by the ripple. Lee Hwam-young lunges, palm raised. Enough, Madame Hang, this is too dangerous. His voice cracks across the platform like a whip. Her eyes widen, caught. The strum ends. Across the courtyard, the felled cadets begin to stir as the killing pressure finally lifts. Yeo-Woon collapses to his knees among the survivors, breath ragged. He barely made it. A single notch higher, and no cadet here would have lived. An older elder clucks his tongue gourd in hand. She's supposed to be a council elder, and she lashed out like a brat over a teenager. Madame Hang sits stiffly, pipa across her lap, fuming. She lost control over a single boy. No, this is the mutt's fault. How dare he break the pact and unleash his power? This is all Cheon Yeo-Woon's doing. Yeo-Woon stands alone amid the fallen hair drifting in the violet aftermath. Around him, cadets sprawl across the cracked stone, limp, twitching, defeated. A muscle in his jaw twitches. He grits his teeth, fist clenched against his chest. The signal is set. Nano, do it now. Blood erupts from his mouth in a violent retch. Lee Hwam-young's eyes narrow on the platform. Madame Hang stiffens, stunned. What just happened? A green-robed cadet jerks his head up, freckled face stricken. From the high platform, the red-headed guardian and the seated woman stare down in shock. He gapes at the blood-soaked figure. What is going on now? The mongrel was just standing, and now he's drowning in his own blood. Yeo-Woon crashes to his knees. Crimson sprays the cracked stone in a long arc. The other cadets recoil. What happened to him? Why so much blood? Is he dying? Red veins of fury spider across his temple. As Yeo-Woon hisses inwardly, "Nano, damn you." The machine answers flatly. It only followed orders. 30% of his organs ruptured for maximum effect. A bitter grin twists his bloodied lips. The thought tears through him. He genuinely thought he was about to die. The machine took his order at face value and then some. A single eye gleams beneath his fallen bangs. Pain detonates inside him. He bites down on a groan and forces his body to keep moving. Another massive heave. Blood splatters across the stone in a black-red starburst beneath his trembling hands. The performance has to look real. The performance has to be real. On the platform, the red-headed guardian breaks into a sprint. Damn it. If the boy dies in the first examination, the blame lands on him as Academy deputy. He may not be of the sixth sex, but his blood is the patriarch's. He cannot let him die. The guardian lands beside him in a rush of fur and cape. He grabs Yeo-Woon's shoulder. "Hey kid, are you all right?" Blood pools on the stone between them. Inside Yeo-Woon's mind, Nano reports calmly. Dizziness from 7% blood loss, beginning organ repair and blood replenishment now. The guardian leans closer, voice cracking with worry. The boy didn't have to act so tough. He could have just fainted if he had to. He hauls Yeo-Woon's slack body up against him. But within his thoughts, Yeo-Woon refuses. Not yet. Hold the repairs. The bleeding has to keep going long enough for them to see it. Nano warns Master, "You are in critical condition." The guardian's grip tightens around the limp boy. How strong are this kid's internal powers to endure all of that without breaking? The thought disturbs him more than it should. Then he checks Yeo-Woon's wrist for a pulse and freezes. His pupils contract. Wait a minute, something is wrong. Very wrong. The realization hits him like a hammer. The boy has no internal energy at all. None. He endured a council elder's strike at half capacity with nothing protecting him. Yeo-Woon's eyes flutter shut, blood streaming from the corner of his mouth, soaking the front of his robes. The guardian mutters under his breath, "What on earth? He really is just a reckless little brat." And yet admiration creeps into the guardian's stare. He expected nothing from the so-called unlucky seventh young lord. But the boy passed the first examination with no powers at all, nothing but pure, stubborn will. The guardian's hand sweeps in a wide gesture toward the bloodied boy in his arms. He barks the order for the demonic way. 2 black-clad attendants drop into a deep bow. The red-headed guardian commands them flatly take him to the infirmary. They move at once. The attendants slide a stretcher beneath Yeo-Woon's limp body. The guardian's eyes linger on the boy's face, bloodied pale but breathing. Something doesn't add up. Inside his fading consciousness, Yeo-Woon whispers to the machine, "Nano, hurry, heal him now." Blood crusts his lips. The danger of dying for real is no longer theoretical. Up on the platform, an elegant woman crowned with jeweled flowers stares down at the carnage. Stretcher-bearers cart the boy away. Bodies still litter the courtyard. Her lips part, but only an empty pause escapes. Madame Hang grips the neck of her pipa, sweat beating at her temple. The boy was withstanding her musical force just fine. So how did he end up wrecked like that? Something is wrong with the picture. A blur of fur and red hair sweeps the platform. Lee Hwamyong lands beside her in a single dash. His voice is low and lethal. "You crossed the line, Madame Hang." She flinches, caught. She bristles, snarling back through clenched teeth. What does he mean by that? Her hairpin trembles with the motion. The accusation lands harder than she expected. Lee Hwamyong's face twists with disgust. She nearly killed the boy. The words hang between them, heavy, undeniable. She turns her head, scoffing. Did that child really have such weak internal powers? Her tone is dismissive, but the doubt is creeping in. A close-up of her eye, a single bead of sweat tracks down her cheek. Her pupil shrinks. Something does not fit. Something she cannot name. Lee Hwamyong folds his arms. He tried to stimulate the boy with raw energy to provoke a reaction and got nothing. His pulse never changed, not the slightest flicker. She jolts, fingers twitching against the strings. How is that possible? There is no way the boy could endure her musical force without even the smallest trace of internal power. A sweeping aerial shot body sprawled across the courtyard, only 6 cadets still upright at the foot of the stairs. Lee Hwa-myung drives the point home. If her claim were true, the boy would have collapsed like all the rest. Lee Hwa-myung's profile hardens. The boy did suffer severe internal injuries, but he endured the musical force purely through his own willpower, through nothing else. A slow, dangerous smile spreads across Madame Hang's lips, just through determination. Her eyes glint with new interest. The brat has a shockingly strong will to survive. Lee Hwa-myung's expression darkens further. If it weren't for the boy's lowly bloodline, he would take him as his own disciple and train him personally. But defying the sixth sex brings nothing but ruin. Elsewhere, a brown-robed warrior tips a gourd of liquor over his face, draining it in heavy gulps. He drops the empty vessel with a thud, grinning wide. The right guardian, already half-drunk, already entertained. He jabs a finger toward Lee Hwa-myung, white teeth flashing. The boy endured all that on willpower alone. That's pretty wild. He sounds genuinely impressed for once. Lee Hwa-myung doesn't even turn his head. Mind his own business, go get drunk in some lonely corner like he always does. Cold, dismissive. The right guardian's grin doesn't fade. The right guardian throws back his head. Screw the redhead, he was leaving anyway. He stomps off down the steps as Lee Hwa-myung's flat parting shot trails behind him. Get lost, drunkard. The right guardian whirls back, teeth bared. Watch his mouth. Without Sir Ma's protection, the redhead would already be rotting in a ditch. The threat hangs in the air like smoke. Lee Hwa-myung's lip curls. He doesn't want to hear that from an alcohol-soaked trap of a mouth. And without Sir Ma, the drunkard would be the one buried 6 feet under, not him. The air between them detonates. Their chi collides in a roaring shockwave. Robes, whipping hair flying, 2 top guardians squaring off on the marble platform like rival storms. Down on the courtyard, the cadets gasp as their hair lashes sideways. The volatile pressure crashes over them like a tide. Whoa, the energy between those two is getting real volatile. The freckled cadet winces beside another. The left and right-hand bodyguards are getting into it. Even from the ground, the rookies feel the weight of 2 true masters about to clash. A loose stone slab lifts from the courtyard, rumbling, and then dissolves into wisps of dust. The pressure between the 2 guardians grinds the architecture itself. Then the right guardian breaks the standoff with a smirk. Pfft. The aggression bleeds out of him in an instant, replaced by lazy amusement. He was never going to swing. He turns away, gourd swinging from his fingers. Forget it. He's out of here, the little wuss. Lee Hwa-myung scoffs in the background. The right guardian saunters off, grumbling between sips. Look at these brats all sprawled out over a little mandolin strumming. Kids these days have no grit, he swears. A sharp eye narrows beneath wild bangs as he glances back at the stretcher, especially compared to that one, the boy who refused to fall. Yeo-Woon lies unconscious on the stretcher, sweat tracking down his pale temple hair plastered to his cheek. Above him, the right guardian's voice carries he likes the kid. Yeo-Woon. He's got his eye on him now. A massive academy compound stretches under pale sunlight, tiered roofs, stone bridges, wide courtyards. Tiny figures gather below, the sect's heart waiting. Inside the main hall, 2nd floor infirmary, a young physician marks an inventory book. Jung Myung-baek, the academy's resident doctor. A heavy thud rattles the corridor outside. A voice calls through the walls. Physician Beck, a patient needs you. He turns toward the door, brush still in hand. A patient. Here. The door swings open hard. His face splits into a manic grin, eyes wild, fists clenched. The visitors freeze, baffled by the energy of the man before them. He whispers it like a prayer, finally a real patient. 2 stern guards stand by a stretcher. A boy lies on it, motionless, blood crusted on his robes. First day on the job, and already a case. He raises his arms to the heavens, beaming. The guards exchange a look. One mutters that this is physician Jong Ubek's pupil, clearly obsessed with medicine. He snaps back into focus. No time to waste. Bring him in. He waves them forward with theatrical flourish. The guards say nothing, dragging the stretcher inside. Then his face falls. The boy on the stretcher, pale as ash blood, pooled at the mouth, robes shredded. The grin dies. How vicious was the test that left a child like this? He asks. The obvious was the boy stabbed in the gut. The guards shake their heads in unison. No, the damage is internal chi torn loose somewhere deep inside. All this from internal injuries alone, the guard explains flatly. The boy has no inner power, no way to circulate his chi. Sir Lee personally asked that he be looked after. 10 years studying under physician Beck, and he thought he had seen every kind of ruin a body could take. Never a patient coughing up this much blood from internal injuries alone. The guards turn to leave. Job done, boy delivered. The physician nods absently, mind already chasing the diagnosis. All right then. One guard pauses at the threshold. Something about the patient pulls at him, a pull he cannot name. His partner snaps at him, quit staring, we have orders to follow. The guard shakes the feeling off. Right, of course. Still the doubt lingers as they walk out. That kid looked far less pale than when they carried him in. He scratches his head. Maybe his eyes were just playing tricks. Inside, the physician dabs the boy's blood-streaked palm clean with a soft pat. Crusted red lifts away. Beneath it, skin already mending far too quickly for a body this broken. He frowns, fingers settling on the boy's wrist to read the pulse. Something underneath refuses to add up. A single eye cracks open beneath sweat-matted hair. Cheon Yeo-Woon glances sideways, silent, watchful. A flicker of awareness behind the mask of unconsciousness. A thought cuts through him, damn it. He never expected to be hauled to the infirmary, not when the nano had nearly sealed every wound already. His face still throbs under the bruises. He swallows the ache. He'll have to play dead until the physician finishes reading his pulse. The physician finally speaks. The boy's pulse races erratic and weak. The internal injuries must have been brutal, more than the outward wounds suggest. And yet something is off. The blood-soaked robes tell a story he can't square. No one bleeds this much from internal wounds alone, not even from biting through their own tongue. He gives up, trying to reason it out. Better to start with what he knows, acupuncture first. Treat the symptoms, leave the puzzle for later. He moves toward his needles. Boom! The infirmary door explodes inward. Dust, splinters, debris. The physician freezes mid-step, eyes blown wide, every instinct screaming at once. He stumbles back, panicking. Don't scare him like that. His face is pure terror, hands shaking. Whoever just kicked the door in did not knock. A massive figure looms in the doorway, bare-chested, sword at the hip, gourd of liquor in hand. Long hair, wild eyes, sharp despite the drink. He squints. What's the kid doing here? The man grins, dragging out the memory. He still remembers when this physician was just a trembling little apprentice under Master Bake, and now, look, promoted to academy doctor. He's really come up. Same arrogant streak as ever, the physician mutters back. The physician steadies himself and asks the obvious. What brings him to the infirmary? As the left royal bodyguard, he can't picture the man getting hurt in any fight worth bandaging. The bodyguard's voice drops dark and amused. Sounds annoyed. I'm here, Doc. The physician scrambles backward, sweat pouring. No, of course not. Stay as long as you like, please. The bodyguard ignores him, eyes drifting past. That one on the bed catches his attention. The physician sighs, pretending composure. He swears the man is unhinged half the time. A grin spreads across the bodyguard's face. Well. He hiccups, drunk and curious. This one looks interesting. On the bed, Cheon Yeo-Woon's heart slams against his ribs. Wait, what? He keeps his eyes shut, every muscle locked, willing himself invisible. What the hell is this man doing in the infirmary? Has he seen through the act? Figured out the internal injuries were faked. His pulse betrays him, hammering despite himself. Black boots step closer. Each footfall hits the floor like a verdict, and the stench sour wine thick enough to make Yeo-Woon want to gag. Then the voice cuts down at him. "Why are you pretending to sleep, huh?" The bodyguard leans in all teeth and burning eyes. Yeo-Woon's breath catches. A hand sweeps up, fingers loose, lazy, glowing faint. No touch, no grab, just a swirl of chi rising off the palm like steam off a fire. The pull catches Yeo-Woon's body and yanks him upright off the bed. Robes flutter, hair flies. He sits floating, suspended by nothing he can see, and the bodyguard just smiles down at him, satisfied. The physician gapes. He raised the boy without even laying a hand on him. This must be it. The legendary internal force of the left royal bodyguard, casual as a flick of the wrist. Yeo-Woon's mind races. Internal power, pure chi, lifting him like a puppet on invisible strings. Blue light shimmers around him, the air rumbling with the man's presence. He tries to move, nothing. His whole body locked, frozen mid-air. Only his fingers twitch weakly. The grip of chi has him completely. The bodyguard's voice drops cold and amused. "Quit it with the sleeping act, kid." His palm hovers, chi swirling, "or I'll smack you across the face." Yeo-Woon's eyes flick open. Damn it, he caught me. Sweat trickles down his temple. The ruse is dead. He glares sideways at the man, voice cracked from the dust. "How did you know? How could anyone read through that act?" The bodyguard's mouth curls into a slow, predatory grin. Heh. He savors the moment, the answer already on his tongue. Then he bursts out laughing, full-throated, shoulders shaking. Knew it. Knew this one was interesting from the second I walked in. Yeo-Woon stares back, deadpan, sweat trickling down. He didn't even flinch at my powers, got sassy with me instead. The bodyguard wheezes through another laugh. Then the answer comes smug as gold. With the powers of a royal bodyguard, he can hear the difference between sleep and pretense in a kid's breathing alone. Yeo-Woon swallows. He could tell from the breathing alone. The man's gaze locks onto him from inches away, every shallow inhale a confession. The bodyguard launches into a clinical lecture. Young men aged 15 to 20 breathe 12 to 20 times a minute. A moment ago, the kid was breathing 8. Way too slow. Yeo-Woon thinks bitterly, really didn't have to mention that. The man chuckles, arms crossing. Kids these days only know how to act tough on the outside, none with real substance underneath. He pauses. But this one's the real thing. Yeo-Woon stares, baffled. Huh. He thought the man came because he'd seen through the faked injuries back at the drill hall, but this is something else entirely. The bodyguard's voice rises. Half-rant kids today have no patience. The moment things get hard, they bail, take the easy way. Yeo-Woon flinches and mutters back, to be fair, he did get some help passing that exam. The man jabs a finger toward him, almost flicking his cheek. What he's saying is the kid's got real determination, genuine grit. Yeo-Woon blinks, completely thrown off. The physician finally finds his voice. "Sir Seop-Maying, the patient is still in critical condition. Treatment first, please." The bodyguard rounds on him, fangs out, pipe down. "Can't you see your elder is talking?" The shout slams into Yeo-Woon's body, key-laced raw. His head snaps sideways. Blood sprays from his mouth, real this time, painting the floor in dark spatter. The bodyguard glances at him and grunts, "Ah." The physician winces, gestures weakly. "See what I told you?" Yeo-Woon hangs there, blood dripping in slow, steady drops from his lip. The physician sighs. The boy really does look pale now. The damage is no longer a performance. The bodyguard waves a hand. The chi binding releases in a soft wisp. Yeo-Woon's body remembers itself again. He flexes his fingers, stunned. He's not frozen anymore. Then gravity takes over. He crashes back down onto the bed with a heavy thump. Ouch. He rubs his neck, wincing through the pain. The bodyguard looms over him, grin gone, all business now. Enough warm-up, he says. He'll get straight to the point. The bodyguard slams his palm to his chest with a thunderous boom, grin splitting wide. He wants to take the kid under his wing, right here, right now. The physician's jaw drops. His eyes blow wide, mouth hanging open. Did he just hear that correctly? Take him. Yeo-Woon stares back, equally floored. Bruised, blood-streaked, gaping. The proposal makes no sense, not to him, not to anyone in the room. The bodyguard ignores them both, tilting back the gourd. Glug, glug, wine pouring down his throat. The physician's face contorts in horror, drinking in front of a patient. Yeo-Woon finally finds his voice. What does he mean by that? The man wipes his mouth, exasperated. What else could it possibly mean? He wants the kid as his disciple to teach him his ways. Yeo-Woon presses on the ways of the left royal bodyguard. The man scoffs, gesturing with the gourd. Does anyone in this academy not know who he is? Yeo-Woon's mind sharpens despite the pain. He pushes back, taking him in as a student would only enrage the people of the sixth sex. The political math is brutal. The bodyguard barks a laugh. Hey, that's hilarious. He's a royal bodyguard, his decision to make. What are the sixth sex going to do about it? He turns away, voice casual. Besides, they still have to compete against each other anyway, with or without the kid in the picture. The clans will tear themselves apart regardless. Yeo-Woon's mind races. This could be a golden opportunity. Backing from a royal bodyguard would shatter everything stacked against him. But what if it's a trap, some scheme of the sixth sex through a third hand? The physician shifts uncomfortably in the background, silent now. He's just an audience to something far above his rank. The air feels heavier than the patient's pulse. The physician's thoughts drift. So this is the infamous seventh young lord. He'd assumed the sixth sex would pull dirty tricks during the grand tournament for the minor priesthood, but making a child bleed this badly. How cruel. Yeo-Woon stalls. This is all so sudden. He just got into the academy and already someone wants him. As a disciple, he doesn't even know how to feel. Shout. The bodyguard cuts him off, fuming. Now you're making me look like I'm begging you to be my student. The man tips back the gourd again. Glug, glug. Yeo-Woon watches in silence. The bodyguard sees it plainly. The kid is suspicious of everything around him. Then again, given the life he's lived, can anyone blame him? Yeo-Woon finally exhales. Fine. The word slips out, small but firm. He'll hear the man out, that much at least. A grin spreads slow across the bodyguard's face. He'll make the kid an offer to clear every suspicion at once. His hand slides into his sleeve, a soft slip of fabric, something hidden being drawn. Smack. He slaps something down beside the bed, sharp, decisive. Yeo-Woon flinches, eyes snapping wide. The bodyguard's face is dead serious now, all mockery gone. A small bundle of yellowed paper sits on the floor. Yeo-Woon stares. What is this yellow paper? The bodyguard's voice drops weighty. It's the very thing he needs to survive in this academy. Aren't you worried about falling behind? The bodyguard asks, leaning in. The kid passed the first exam on willpower alone, but does he really think he can survive the second one without any internal powers at all? A bearded stranger leans in, grinning wide. Aren't you afraid of falling behind? He says. The first exam was passed on willpower alone. Yeo-Woon stares back, bruised dirt smeared across his jaw. Is that... His thought trails off unfinished. The man swigs from a gourd. To become a warrior, you should be thinking about getting ahead of everyone, not lying here for 2 whole weeks. A single bead of sweat rolls down Yeo-Woon's cheek. While you rest, the stranger says the others are pulling miles ahead of you. That's a fact I can't deny, Yeo-Woon thinks, fist tightening on the blanket. But staying here is the only way to lift suspicion off me. The bearded man tips the gourd back, eyes half-lidded, mouth curled into a wide, knowing grin. Redhead, does he mean Sir Lee? Yeo-Woon thinks. He told them he was sent here for internal injuries. Of course, came the reply, that's what infirmaries are for. The grin sharpens. But isn't it strange, the man asks, leaning closer. Physician Beck watches from the side as the stranger gestures around the empty infirmary. Why aren't they here with you? A true warrior who's mastered martial arts, he explains, can mend his own injuries through chi adjustment. Medicine and physicians only speed things up. That's right, he continues, the other cadets all know how to regulate their chi. There's no reason to send them to a physician for something this minor. Yeo-Woon's eyes narrow. So that's why I'm here alone, he realizes, because I never learned to adjust my chi. He says nothing. The bearded man watches the silence stretch. I can tell he's pretty much convinced. A slow grin spreads across the stranger's face, teeth bared, eyes glinting. Now then, let's really seal the deal. You don't even know how to adjust your chi, he taunts, slamming a gourd onto the table. Do you really think you'll heal in just a few days? Yeo-Woon's inner voice answers, yeah, I've got Nano. But he's right about everything else, Yeo-Woon admits, glancing at his blood-streaked robes. To reach the next stage, I'll need real internal power. Wait! His eyes snap wide, a thought striking like a flash. Didn't passing the first exam earn us a demonic dragon marble and access to the first floor of the manual library? The bearded man throws his head back and roars with laughter. Ha 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 ha! Yeo-Woon stares, lost. Looks like that redhead left out a pretty vital piece of information, the stranger says, gourd swinging in his hand. What do you mean? Yeo-Woon asks. You can't just walk into the manual library whenever you please, the bearded man says, voice low. You're only allowed in once after each examination you pass. What Yeo-Woon's eyes blow wide, mouth hanging open, sweat beads on his temple. The library is an archive of sacred manuals, the man continues, pointing at the towering pagoda outside. Did you really think you could waltz in there freely? It's locked tight to everyone but His Holiness himself. The man drains his gourd in long gulps. Yeo-Woon stares up at him speechless. Not to mention you're given exactly 2 hours on the first floor. A time limit too. Yeo-Woon hiccups in disbelief. My gosh, it just gets worse. The higher floors give more time, the man adds, and you're forbidden to copy a single word. Memorization is your only weapon, and at best you'd get through 2 manuals. Wait a minute. A slow grin spreads across Yeo-Woon's face. That's perfect for me. Nano can scan written text in seconds. Lightning crackles around him as the realization hits. With 2 whole hours, he could devour 100 manuals or more. The bearded man leans closer, smile sharpening. Without knowledge, without internal powers, there's no way sheer determination will carry you through 4 years at this academy. Is he saying I'm at a disadvantage? Yeo-Woon thinks. Everyone else came in trained by their sects, but me, I have no sect, no internal arts, nothing. Could becoming a student of the left-hand royal bodyguard Yeo-Woon wonders save my life from the 6 sects hunting me. His pupil shrinks. About that paper you left next to me, Yeo-Woon says quietly. Are those the teachings of the arts of internal powers? The folded paper sits on the floor like a loaded weapon. So you do catch on quick. The man's grin splits wider. Those are the internal arts of us royal bodyguards. Become my student and I'll start training you tonight. I don't know if he truly means to take me in, Yeo-Woon thinks, fist clenching tight against the blanket. But I need someone on my side. Now. And above all, the pact of the 6 sects has kept me from learning internal arts my entire life. This is my chance. Oh. The bearded man tilts his head, brow rising in interest. Thud. Yeo-Woon drops to his knees, dust exploding around him. I vow to serve you as my teacher, Sir Seop-Mying, he says, head bowed low. Please take me under your wing. Sir Seop-Mying's lips curl into a slow, wolfish smirk. He says nothing, just watches. I bow once more, Yeo-Woon says, body trembling, blood seeping through his robes. Please, take me in. Enough! Sir Seop-Mying raises a hand. A wave of glowing chi sweeps out, lifting Yeo-Woon clean off the floor. Yeo-Woon's eyes widen as the energy hauls him upright. robes fluttering dust whirling around his feet. As a member of the holy bloodline, Sir Seop-Mayeng says, palm steady, you bow more than once to no one but His Holiness. You're my student now. Ahem. The man clears his throat, eyes softening. You've been through a lot, get some rest. But until I return, study that paper. It's the key to your internal powers. He turns to leave, knocking the physician on the head. I'll be off. Take good care of my student, you little wuss. Ouch. The physician winces. That hurt. The physician mutters, rubbing his shoulder. Yeo-Woon lies still on the cot, the folded paper resting beside him. Well, at least he looks happy. The physician sighs, though his breath still stinks like a brewery. Are you all right? He asks. Yes, Yeo-Woon murmurs. It just felt like a whirlwind, a lot to take in. Looks like he's really taken a liking to you, the physician chuckles. Congratulations on becoming the student of that drunkard, Sir Seop-Mayeng. Gosh, you were so pale from your injuries. I doubt you could even move. The physician shakes his head. And yet you bowed to him over and over. Your pulse is still racing. I'll prepare acupuncture needles and mugwort to treat your wounds. Be patient. All right, Yeo-Woon answers. Hoo-hoo, the physician beams. Finally, a patient. Yeo-Woon glances at the folded paper in his fist. First Nano, and now Sir Seop-Mayeng. What a strange yet useful chain of encounters. Mother, guard Zhang. He stares up at the ceiling body, still as stone. In this academy where every face is an enemy. I've finally found someone on my side. The faintest tremor of relief crosses his bruised face. Meanwhile, outside in the academy's great drill hall, hundreds of cadets kneel in tight rows on the courtyard, sparks of chi rising around them like fireflies. The students sit in meditation palms pressed together, gold motes of chi swirling upward as they regulate their internal energy. Among them stand the cadets in finer robes, silk-clad, fur-collared heirs of powerful sex watching with cold, appraising eyes. Above the platform, an attendant bows low. Deputy Lee, he reports, I have the results of the first examination. The redhead Lee Hwa-myung turns slowly. Senior martial arts professor Jin Chong-ho speaks first voice, rough as gravel. 415 students pass the first examination, including cadet number 7 who was carried to the infirmary. That's 200 fewer than the cohort 10 years ago. Deputy Lee growls, hair like flame beard bristling. Madam Hang really did go too far with her musical force. The redhead descends the stairs, cape billowing. The ones who failed must feel so slighted, he says, voice dripping with quiet mockery. I was just foaming at the mouth. That's it, why am I being expelled? A young cadet screams, dragged backward by guards. This is unfair. Those are the results. An officer answers, arms folded. How would you feel living the rest of your life as a farmer or a merchant? The boy roars. How am I supposed to live without being recognized as a martial artist? So you refuse to accept the results of the examination? A cold voice asks. That's right, the boy snarls, teeth bared, eyes wild. Take down all who resist and remove them from the premises. Cloaked figures dash forward in a blur for the demonic way. Thud. Egg, smack, whoa, thud, bodies crash against stone fists, slam home, cadets crumple in the dust before they can blink. Professor Jin Chong-ho mutters, beard, grizzled eyes hooded. The professors have at least the skills of a captain. Those expelled fools never stood a chance. Now they leave in shame, all because of their arrogance. I understand their outrage, Deputy Lee says, red beard catching the sun. The first examination was extra brutal, all because of cadet number 7. However, luck plays a part too. Below the platform, defeated cadets lie sprawled in the dust. Chi still rising weakly from their bodies. They cannot deny their fate. Among those who passed, Professor Ho adds, there are quite a few talented individuals. You think so, Professor Ho? Deputy Lee asks, head tilting. Most are nursing internal injuries, the professor explains. using chi adjustment to mend themselves, sweat beating as golden light pulses around them. But the descendants of the sixth sex, and 8 others from higher-ranking sects, seem to have come through unscathed. Well, the heirs to the minor priesthood, meaning the candidates for Vice Lord, have already surpassed every other cadet here. Madame Hang used her musical force at half capacity, and they barely flinched. That means they've already gathered internal powers equal to 60 years of training. The minor priesthood heirs already wield the strength of high-ranking martial artists. Student 1 Young Master Mu-Yeon Cheon of the Shadow Sect, cold black eyes, pale face. Student 5 Young Master Yushan Cheon of the Saber Sect, a high ponytail, fur-trimmed cloak, hawk-sharp gaze. These 2 didn't even flinch at Madame Hang's musical force. Deputy Lee's lips curl. No wonder rumors say the Shadow Sect and Saber Sect will be the top contenders at the grand tournament for the minor priesthood. It looks like. Deputy Lee bares his teeth in a wide, hungry grin, sparks of golden light dancing around his crimson mane. Things are going to be far more interesting than I expected.